Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Meda's 2020 Annual Meeting. My name is Shantae Hardy, and I'll be your virtual MC this afternoon. I'm honored and humbled by this opportunity to join you as I know firsthand the impact of Meda's work. The company I co-founded, Civic Eagle, was one of last year's winners of the Meda $1 Million Challenge. We so greatly appreciate that investment. So, a little bit about my journey. I've had a non-linear career. I'm a three-time entrepreneur. I'm the founder of Policy Grounds Consulting, the co-founder of Fearless Commerce, and as I mentioned, the co-founder of Civic Eagle. I am a former government executive. I served under Governor Mark Dayton and Lieutenant Governor Tina Smith as the commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, and also the Deputy Chief of Staff in their office. I'm a former healthcare and environmental lobbyist, serving at the state and federal levels. And finally, I'm a former city planner with the City of St. Paul. My work all aligns in my head, and my North Star is inclusive economic growth, with all of this work converging at the intersection of public policy, placemaking, and prosperity. That's the Cliff Notes on me. As we convene today, our communities are in Minnesota and throughout this country are navigating the devastating impacts of COVID-19 and also the reckoning of deeply rooted racist systems. Now more than ever, organizations like Meda are needed to ensure that change happens, that good change happens, and that we are all off moving towards the better. A thriving business community is critical to building a just and equitable future. I'm excited to share this time with you, people who I believe are deeply committed to that just and equitable future. Today, we're going to hear from folks at Meda. We're going to honor some amazing community leaders, and we're going to share in a conversation about this moment in hopes that we can leave energized, committed, and just ready to take on the challenges ahead. Your participation is necessary today, tomorrow, and well into the future. So remember, this event is virtual. We're on Facebook Live and want to know you're here with us. So please like, comment, share this video as you're watching. Everyone should know about the great work that Meda is doing. And let's hope that flawless technology is on our side and you give us grace because we are doing this live. Thank you again for being here to celebrate the strength and resilience of the Meda community. So to start us off, I'm honored to introduce the amazing Barbara Butts-Williams, current board chair of Meda. Barbara is a force. She has a decades-long career as a business leader, in academics, and most importantly, a leader in our community. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to be in her orbit and to have her as one of my visions of possibility in showing the way in how to lead. Now let's hear from Barbara.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Butts-Williams, and I am the board chair for the Metropolitan Economic Development Association, or MEDA. On behalf of the staff at MEDA and our board of directors, it is my honor to welcome you to our annual meeting. The theme of this year's meeting is an appropriate one: ready for this. As I speak to you, our daily lives, our businesses, and our fellow citizens are confronting challenges presented by a global pandemic, a pandemic that has disproportionately impacted people of color. Governments, businesses, organizations, and individuals are shaping and reshaping their response, doing their best to adapt and stay on task. We're asking difficult questions about safe ways to return to work fully, to school, to civic life, to activities that add meanings to our days and joy to our lives. At the same time, our country is again confronting racial inequities that have existed since before America was America. On Memorial Day, right here in Minneapolis, George Floyd was killed by the police, shocking our national conscience and igniting an international uprising that has been inspiring and thoughtful in many ways, but also devastating. As we challenge biases and disparities, as we work for equity and justice in our community and our country, we also need to rebuild neighborhoods that have been damaged by righteous raid and callous opportunists, communities that were already suffering from the side effect of COVID-19. Historians have compared the summer of 2020 to the Plymouth Avenue riots, which took place in Minneapolis during the summer of 1967. Then, as now, residents clash with police over an incident of police brutality. Then, as now, buildings were burnt, and then, as now, eventually, the National Guard was called to intervene. As William Shakespeare observed in The Tempest, the past is prologue. What has happened before will happen again unless we learn from history and use lessons from the past to show us the way to a better future. Meda was formed in 1971, partially as a response to the Plymouth Avenue riots, but also as a way to address rising poverty, crime, and unemployment with a new approach. The founding idea was straightforward and profound. It is similar to Meda's mission today: support the development of minority-owned businesses as a way to provide equal economic opportunity. Since its founding, Meda's mission has been to situate itself within communities of color to help close the wealth gap. That mission couldn't be more relevant to the times we're in right now. In the weeks and years to come, Meda will continue its role as a leader in helping entrepreneurs of color succeed. Our vision is not a grand new vision. Today, we have more modernized tools that we use. We work with different partners to support the communities we serve. There are different programs available now, but the mission and vision are unchanged. Supporting entrepreneurs of color was our work in 1971. It is our work now. It will be our work until the wealth gap is closed and racial justice is achieved. I want to thank those of you who are joining us in our work and have sponsored today's annual meeting. Support from our sponsors not only make today's meeting possible, but helps Meda meet the needs of our minority-owned clients. Thank you to our platinum sponsors, Best Buy, BMO Harris, and Wells Fargo. Our gold sponsor, Ernst & Young. Meda's silver sponsors, Excel Energy and Lori LLP. Today's bronze sponsors are 3M, Bremer Bank, Country Financial, Capella University, Fredericks and Byron, Great Southern Bank, Kraus Anderson, and Top Sell Strategies. We also have several of our minority-owned clients and partners sponsoring this meeting. At the diamond level are Bald Eagle Extractors and Sean Longquist Construction. Our Ruby MBE sponsors are SD Enterprise, Hallberg Engineering, and Matcha CPA. Finally, our Emerald sponsors are Gear Junkie and Lola Digital Media. Thank you so much for sponsoring Meda's 2020 annual meeting and sponsoring minority entrepreneurs across Minnesota. I also want to acknowledge the support of several corporations that have gone above and beyond in supporting Meda's response to COVID-19 and the unrest related to the killing of George Floyd. These businesses have provided additional resources to support increased technical assistance and lending to minority-owned businesses in the time of need. Mortenson Company, U.S. Bank, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Thriveton Financial, Target, the Travelers Companies, the One Minneapolis Fund, Bremer Bank. Thank you to our sponsors and partners for their continued support. And thank you to you for joining the 2020 Meda Annual Meeting. We look forward to telling you about our past, the lessons we've learned along the way that prepare us for the unique challenges of the present and the work we plan to do in the days and years to come.
Thank you so much, Barbara, for your leadership and your unwavering commitment to the growth of businesses owned by people of color. What a wonderful message to kick this off. Now, I'd like to acknowledge some incredible leaders from the Meda community who have had big impact in the past year. Get ready for this. Starting with Meda's Volunteer of the Year for 2019, Joel Lebowitz. Joel began working with Meda as a volunteer over 30 years ago. Joel and his firm, Lurie LLP, has provided thousands of volunteer hours to Meda's entrepreneurs of color. His leadership has been critical to their success. Please join me in thanking and congratulating Joel for all of his hard work over the years. Thank you, Joel. Next up is the 2019 Corporation of the Year. I feel like I should do like a drum roll for these. Okay, that probably was distracting. But our 2019 Corporation of the Year is Choice Bank. Through a more than 10-year partnership, Choice Bank has provided loan processing and servicing to Meda's business clients. This partnership has allowed Meda's loan fund to increase tenfold in the last decade. You see that 10, 10, that's commitment. And that's hard work that we all have benefited from. So please join me in thanking Choice Bank for their commitment to financial inclusion and also their longstanding partnership with Meda. Thank you, Choice Bank. So this award, next up, comes with just a note of importance. Meda does not award a minority business champion every year. This award is reserved for stakeholders that go above and beyond to support Meda's clients. And this year's champion is Nancy Brooks of Best Buy. Nancy has provided exceptional leadership as chair of Meda's Strategic Planning and Partnership Committee. Nancy challenged Meda's staff and board to push its boundaries of assumed possibilities and to challenge its traditions and practices in order to amplify Meda's impact for entrepreneurs of color for years to come in so many new ways. Through her leadership, Meda's board and staff have set high goals for work and high expectations for their impact. Please join me in thanking Nancy for her leadership and for being named Meda's Minority Business Champion for 2019. Wow, what amazing people and organizations that have just pledged longstanding commitment to Meda. Congratulations again, Joel, Choice Bank, and Nancy. We are forever grateful for your support. And now I get the honor of recognizing Meda's Entrepreneur of the Year. This prestigious award is given to an entrepreneur of color who has demonstrated industry leadership, business success, economic impact, and community involvement. This year's honoree is Gloria Contreras-Eaton, the founder and owner of Contreras Motelska, PA, based in St. Paul. Gloria founded her firm in July of 2009. Her office handles criminal defense and family law with a strong focus on immigration law. She is a zealous advocate for her clients and is committed to helping families stay together. Stay together. I'll say that again, stay together in the United States. Gloria also gives her time to her community by serving on local foundation boards, volunteering in nonprofit organizations, and supporting the Hispanic community. She is an inspiring leader, an inspiring business owner, and I'm so excited for you to hear a little bit more about her journey. Let's go ahead and hear about it.
My name is Gloria Contreras Eden, and my title is Owner and Manager of Contreras and Matelska. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I was born in East Los Angeles. I grew up in a family of immigrants from Mexico. Growing up in Los Angeles was really hard. Growing up in a bilingual home is really hard. I struggled a little bit. My family wasn't very healthy socially, and so I dropped out of high school and I had a baby at a very young age. Despite the challenges and the struggles of raising a child on my own, I managed to continue going to school and to pursue my dreams of becoming a lawyer. Since I became a lawyer, I have learned that the law hasn't always been used to further the rights of immigrants and refugees. And so my belief and philosophy about the law is to make sure that we are using it to provide freedom and justice for all individuals. We love doing that here at our law firm. We pursue federal litigation specifically for that reason. So I'm inspired by the fact that the law is very powerful and can be used to make sure that there is that freedom and justice for all.
Sometimes people think that they go in business just because they have this business idea in their head, and they want to make some money. In her case, it was truly a vision, and one that included helping other people, helping her community, and in the process of doing that, creating a purpose for her business.
The challenges I face as a female minority entrepreneur are many. I think that sometimes people don't expect that I can run and own a law firm, or that this is something that I should have. When I first applied for a loan, I applied to many of the larger banks and asked for a line of credit, and no one wanted to give me a loan. And so I reached out to Meda, and Meda helped me draft my business plan that I then presented to a small local community bank called Western Bank. And they gave me my first line of credit of $10,000, and I used it. And it is with that line of credit that we opened up our first office. And then from there on, we continued to grow. We have substantially increased our deposits since then and continue to be loyal and faithful customers of Western Bank. I always say it's really Yuri's doing. It is his seed of faith that was planted in me that has since grown an oak of a law firm. We are firmly rooted in our community now, and I'm incredibly grateful for Yuri and for the people at Meda.
What we want from our entrepreneurs is to give them a hand and just show them the way. And then after that, if we succeed at our job, they do it themselves afterwards, which allows us to, help other people and continue the cycle. In her case, that's exactly what happened. She just needed a little bit of help at first. And then after that, she just took it on herself and was able to find avenues and opportunities and get creative and find connections and find clients and all of those things that make her as successful as she is today.
Over the years, I've had the privilege of winning many awards, but for some reason, this one feels a little different. And I think it feels different because it's an award that's gifted by an organization that works with entrepreneurs. And it's an organization that knows all of my colleagues and knows all of the other businesses out there and found a reason to select me. It is just an exceptional honor. I'm incredibly thankful. It's just hard to know what to say other than thank you, Meda.
Wow, it's so inspiring to see Meda's business motto in action. This work is not only about mission, but it's about pushing through new mindsets and methods. Thank you, Gloria, for all that you do, for your leadership, and for standing in the gap. Congratulations again. So I'm very excited for this next portion of our time today. I'm excited to introduce Alfredo Martel, President and CEO of Meda. He joined Meda in November of last year. I think I can confidently say he is one of very few leaders that most of their time in their role has been virtual. So he's stepping right in. Alfredo brings a great deal of expertise in organizational development, strategic planning, and storytelling, which he gained at the Walker Art Center, Caribou Coffee, and Yum Brands. Alfredo has jumped right into work at Meda. He recently had the completion of the 5-year strategic plan, which I believe will amplify Meda's commitment and impact for entrepreneurs of color across Minnesota, and because the work is so good throughout the nation. Alfredo will share the vision of Meda's plan for the future, rooted in Meda's long-standing track record and commitment to economic inclusion. Let's hear from him.
Welcome, clients, community, funders, and friends. We thank you for sharing time with us today and appreciate your support of Meda's most essential mission to help Black, Indigenous, people of color, or BIPOC, entrepreneurs succeed. I am Alfredo Martel, a father, a business leader, and the son of Cuban entrepreneurs who made way for themselves after fleeing their home country. I grew up watching my parents build a positive life for our family through hard work, a commitment to their children's education, and the pursuit of their own entrepreneurial spirit. Meda is filled with stories like mine and stories like that of my parents. It is what makes us unique. It's what drives our impact and our urgency. I join a long history of leaders of color working to see dreams no longer deferred and rampant economic brokenness eradicated. Since taking on the role of Meda's president and CEO in November, I have, with eagerness, worked toward a more expansive future for Meda, alongside a dedicated, talented team that is excited by the limitless possibilities of the years to come. Opportunity should be accessible and success torn from its segregated history. But that is not always the case. As long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention. These words from Martin Luther King Jr. in 1967 highlight the current times that we find ourselves in. In 1967 is also the backdrop of Minneapolis's Plymouth Avenue riots that stemmed from long-standing racial inequality and unmet promises for change. 4 years later, Meda was formed. We believe now, as Meda's founders did then, that investing in people's ideas for business results in positive economic entry points address both poverty and unemployment. Unfortunately, the Minneapolis of 1967 is eerily similar to the Minneapolis of 2020. Our communities of color are still facing some of the worst wealth and employment disparities in the nation, and we've seen another social uprising in response to the killing of George Floyd, an uprising that sparked here at home and then spread across the nation. We must go beyond talks of diversity, inclusion, and seats at the table, and towards creating, enforcing, and resourcing systems and tables that can bring about deep, sustainable change. Meda's clients can lean on us in this period of rebuilding in the Twin Cities. While clients have faced setbacks due to COVID-19 and social unrest, we will work to ensure brick and mortar is renewed, teams are restored, and ideas for moving forward take shape. Tuned to a changing world, we will approach these uncertain times innovatively, intuitively, and strategically. Meda's work towards breaking down barriers of wealth is not new. It's natural. And it has resulted in 20,000 BIPOC entrepreneurs, and 550 new businesses have been creating pathways for over the last 49 years. A simple yet impactful recipe, knowing what clients need and building world-class capabilities around those needs, has created a half a century's worth of powerful testimonies of what can be achieved. Here's just a few of those stories. April Estes took over the Estes Funeral Chapel when her husband Richard passed away. Richard opened Estes Funeral Chapel in 1962 with the hopes of being able to service African American families in their time of grief and loss. April has led the chapel through some tough times, but now is achieving outstanding success. Having moved into a state-of-the-art facility in 2018, the business is now thriving. During the COVID-19 crisis, Estes Chapel was able to support grieving families with virtual funerals and other services. Now, the next generation of Esteses are preparing to take over the chapel and continue April and Richard's legacy in North Minneapolis. In 2013, Manny Ifong approached the owners of All American Engineering to purchase the division of the company he worked in. They said no. 3 years later, with Meda's help, Manny and his business partner bought the whole company in a $3.2 million acquisition, saving jobs and keeping the business in St. Paul. When Tommy Beavas got home from his job as an executive at Cargill, he would cook amazing food for his family and neighbors. In 2012, he started taking his cooking to festivals and fairs and was featured on the Food Network's Food Court Wars. When Tommy was ready to concentrate fully on Pimento Jamaican Kitchen, he worked with Meda to find the right opportunity and timing to follow his dream. They now have 3 locations throughout the Twin Cities, all delicious. These are powerful stories, and behind them, we've got powerful numbers. The past 5 years has seen our entrepreneurial impact nearly double from 514 clients served in 2015 to nearly 1,000 today. This doubling created opportunities for business owners, the people they employ, and the communities that they serve to thrive. And in that same time frame, Meda has nearly tripled its capital fund to $23 million. This work was only able to happen because of the strong partnership and trust among the Meda team, its clients, the funding community, and the state that this organization has grown up in. It's this type of ecosystem that makes economic mobility through one's own ideas of viable reality more than just a sentimental value. We want more inspirational stories and high growth numbers over the next 5 years, and have set out to amplify our impact with a new strategic plan. Our aim? Make Meda the national go-to center for high-growth, BIPOC-owned businesses through a focus of 3-part model of money, markets, and management education. Each part, money, markets, and management education, works to stimulate excellence, growth, and opportunity for high-potential BIPOC businesses. Over the next 5 years, we hold ourselves accountable to increasing our lending capital to $75 million towards funding over 200 BIPOC businesses, matching 200 enterprises to new markets, pursuing a 25% revenue growth for them, and reaching 1,500 businesses with our operational support and consulting, and having 60% of that portfolio reaching revenue growth every year. This future that I speak of takes more than belief. It requires a wheelhouse of work and dedication to realize the promise of a better tomorrow. Our journey to 2025 will include areas where we scale, areas where we launch, and areas where we innovate. The success of our model and its aspirations will be powered by a strong pairing of strategy and projects to address and refine our customer focus, our offerings, and ourselves. Each phase of Meda's plan, building its foundation, mastering its delivery, and scaling it for impact, will be addressed on a cultural, a capital, and a consulting level. The implementation of these phases will build on what works from our services and programs, reinvent offerings as needed, grow our CDFI lending capacity to $75 million, and develop the best BIPOC Anchor Partnership Program in the country. Meda will begin its 5-year journey by leaning into the needs of Minnesota and the Twin Cities area to ensure the foundation is strong, growing with our clients and mastering delivery of our services, then scaling the impact of our mission both regionally and nationally. Meda has built a reputation as a systems changer and influencer. And as our clients expand into additional markets, Meda is prepared for their journey. Our work is not only essential to the vitality of Minnesota, but to other cities and states looking to ensure that progress is not just something that is theorized academically, but real. Our 49-year commitment to society through economic equity and equality makes Meda the best investment in philanthropy. Our deep roots give us stability and sustainability we can share with other communities. Meda is here today because we believed in 1971 that we could change life outcomes for the better. And we've remained strong over the last 49 years because of that belief and those results. We must fulfill the promises of the past by resisting the pernicious underfunding of one of the most vital means of progression, breaking down the wealth barrier. Come what may, with opportunities, successes, and challenges, Meda is set to take on the future. We don't hope for a better future. We know that a better future will be realized. The time for change is now. The time for change is always. And Meda is ready for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfredo, for those grounding and inspiring words and for your leadership. And also, thank you so much for uplifting those amazing businesses and the work that they're doing. Now, let's dig into some of the themes that have been bubbling up in the messages that we've heard today, including the challenges of this moment and the needed solutions with our esteemed panelists. I hope you're ready for this hot seat 15-minute discussion. Remember to comment and share your thoughts in the chat. If we don't address them, drop in your email and the team at Meda will capture them and follow up with you after the event. Now, I'd like to introduce our 3 panelists for this afternoon. Welcome, everyone.
Hi there.
Hi.
Yeah. First, we have our amazing president and CEO that you just heard from. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second, we have our Entrepreneur of the Year, Gloria. Welcome.
Thank you, Shantara.
And last but not least, we have Miss Felicia Perry, whom I'm excited to hear from. For those of you who don't know, wonderful. For those of you who don't know, Felicia serves as the Northside Business Community, as the Executive Director of the West Broadway Business and Area Coalition. She brings a wealth of experience in marketing, entrepreneurship, project management, finance, accounting, and community engagement. As the ED, you got to bring it all, and she brings it. So welcome you 3. So let's get this conversation started. I want to just kick this off with a question to all of you. I'm going to start with you, Alfredo. As I mentioned at the top of the hour, we're navigating a pandemic and a racial uprising, and business as usual is not the norm. What should we be doing differently to survive and thrive in our community at this time?
Well, first and foremost, we gotta heal. We are in an uncharted territory in terms of society right now and our economy. And we also have to protect ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves, take care of those that are near us, whether they're family, friends, employees, co-workers. So we have to really have high empathy right now, first and foremost, to make it through these times. The Meda perspective would be, of course, fearlessly network, fearlessly seek support, mobilize to seek information and assistance. the entrepreneurial spirit is very much so rooted in the individual and the personal energy of that entrepreneur. But at times like this, what Meda does for our clients and what we believe is our primary role is more needed than ever. So my call would be seek assistance, seek someone that's doing it well, seek us, of course, we're here, and not be afraid to have a moment of vulnerability and ask for someone to lend you a helping hand.
Those are great words. And you mentioned something that I think is so important that sometimes we forget in crisis is supporting ourselves. And if we have enough energy or other resources to support each other, hustle was our word that we used prior to this pandemic. And so I appreciate those words. How about you, Felicia? What would you offer for us to do differently to survive right now?
Yeah, other than like really uplifting the things that Alfredo offered, I'd also like to offer that we think really creatively, problem solve creatively, think creatively about how we collaborate with who we're considering the experts in the room. I think this is an amazing time and opportunity to do that. And I think in a lot of ways, community and our business community has really shown up in that way, really thinking creatively on how to navigate like just the things that have happened in the last month, let alone this last year. So yeah, I'd like to offer that to everybody as well.
Yes, no, that is good to think about. You know, we often forget in crisis there's opportunity, but you don't see that opportunity if you don't have an open mindset that is willing to go beyond what you see in that moment. And so that creativity is key. And I think the other thing that I heard you say is being open to new voices as a part of that creative thinking and doing. Thank you for that. Gloria.
Well, I love the words hustle and creativity because it goes to sort of my response to this question, which is recognizing that there's an energy right now. There is something happening, right? And we can all feel it. And I think what we must do in order to survive and thrive is we must act and build on that energy so that we can actually see the change, the justice, and the equity that we want to become a reality. And I'll give you an example. I think so many of my clients, so many of the people I work with want to see action, tangibles. And like Lake Street, for example, there are so many business clients who have had areas completely destroyed, their businesses destroyed. And I think they want to see tangibles. They want to see bulldozers out there. They want to see our community leaders talking to them, our politicians talking to them. And in some way, both literally and figuratively, our community wants to start building some solid ground so that we can move together and survive and thrive.
No, that's great. That's great. You know, we're in this pause, there's still energy to act, still energy to keep going. And that appetite for action is very important to just let people see the possibilities of tomorrow. And so I think that's important. And that energy just makes me, think about that bigger goal. As we think about business development, we have our eyes on building wealth in our communities. Felicia, I want to have you take this question. I would just love to hear your thoughts on how we see wealth building as a response to this moment. Like, what are you and the team around you building towards through your work on the North Side?
Great questions. I want to make sure I kind of get to both of them. As far as wealth building, well, let me back up. When we say in this moment, for me, there's this understanding that a lot of the reason why we're in this moment is because in this time when we're saying this moment is because of what happened to a Black man by the name of George Floyd. And a lot of the unrest that happened due to the impact of his murder on communities across the nation, right? That have felt this across the world, right? And really honoring and acknowledging the systematic oppression, racism, divestment that's happened to Black peoples in a specific way, that's happened to Indigenous people, that's happened to all Black, Brown, and Indigenous people in this country in these different ways, right? And we're at a moment where we're all collectively in a lot of different ways working together to like figure out what that looks like for us as like this larger community. So I do want to acknowledge that. When we're talking about wealth building, I think that it's an opportunity for economic liberation for a lot of these groups. And it looks different. It'll probably look different for all of us, but what I do know is that there is a wealth of resources that actually do exist in this country. And I think a lot of it is the ways in which those resources are allocated and who's actually benefiting from them. And if we know that Black and Brown people have put in that work, then we should be the beneficiaries of that wealth that is built in this country. And so I think that wealth building should really look like intentional investment in and access to resources and tools for wealth building for these communities, for BIPOC communities.
Thank you for that. And I really appreciate you putting a stake in the ground with respect to the language around this moment. I'll say in words that the great Beyonce never said, we didn't wake up like this. These systemic issues and structures have been permeating in our community for a very long time. We are outwardly seeing on the blocks and in our boardrooms the results of those systems. And so your answer regarding just the intentionality of wealth building, gets to that you're going to need to get a scalpel to get into those systems to be able to make those changes in that. I know I specifically have Felicia. Any reactions, Gloria and Alfredo, to her response?
No, I'm going to honor that response. It is powerful. Thank you, Felicia, reminding us all.
I would just build on it with the moment now has shed a light on the order of magnitude of the work. And you saw our strategic plan. And when we talk about wealth creation, we're setting a path for not just capital. We're not just talking about money. We're talking about information equality, competence sharing, mutual understanding. When we have a client and a consultant or a volunteer interacting, we're creating a societal bridge. And the moment that we have right now is one where there's a lot of attention on the moment, but we need this to be a movement, right? And so I see many of our entrepreneurs like Gloria, like you, Shantara, and I look at Meda as a socioeconomic entrepreneurship. And we need to innovate, following the words of Felicia. This is a moment for us to really seize the moment to double down on our mission and elevate the scale of what we aspire, because we have been shown how much disparity is still out there and how much work we still have to do to accomplish the society and the future with thriving communities that we all envision for ourselves and for our children.
Absolutely. So building on that, right now we're in this virtual room of community and economic leaders and business owners who I am going to just claim want to work together. What is working right now? What's working right now? And what's missing? What's not working? Because I've learned that you improve what you inspect. Mm-hmm. So what's working? What's not working? Let's start with you, Gloria.
Thank you, Shantara. I'm going to try to capture that in sort of one brief statement. The people who are listening to us today and the people who are kind enough to be patient with us while we're virtual, they're the people that have been doing the work of social justice. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 plus years. I mean, Felicia has been doing it for a long time. Meda's been doing it for a long time. The people who are hearing us are bankers, philanthropists, they're loan specialists, they're business consultants, commercial leaders. We have been planting the seeds for years, doing the work of social justice, and we've been toiling the ground for years. And we're finally seeing a time when things are coming to fruition and they're blossoming. And I think if you ask the question to what can we do right now or what's missing, I'd have to say, let's look at what we've done and congratulate ourselves a little bit, right? So say, good work, people, good work. Thank you for what you've done, for what you will continue to do and what you're doing today. Felicia, thank you. Shantera, thank you. Alfredo, thank you. Meda, board members, and those who are listening to us, thank you for your work. We don't do that enough within our own communities. Sometimes we're just so tired and we keep working and working and working. And so I think if we can just do a little bit more of that for one another, we're going to keep our spirits up and alive. So thanks for letting me answer first.
That's awesome. So it's looking around and it's making sure that we be able to, enjoy those fruits that we put out there. Yeah. Felicia?
Yes. Thanking ourselves within our communities. Thank you for offering that, Gloria. It's a reminder to myself, because I do have a lot of gratitude for the work that has been done. Yes. I stand on the shoulders of ancestors that have been through a whole lot. I stand on the shoulders of the elders of my community. And I also am really hoping to prepare a path for the young folks. And so when I think about what's missing, in a lot of the spaces that I'm in, the youth are missing. And sometimes they're like the topic of conversation. And I just want to elevate in every space I'm in, and I don't see the youth and I don't see them, represented equitably. I want to raise them up. So to all the young folks out there, my young mentees that hopefully are tuning in or maybe will watch this later, I just want to lift each of you up and ask you all to continue to hold us all accountable to not just being an example for you all, but preparing a way for bringing you all into the room with us now in this moment where we're learning together how to work collaboratively across communities. The work that I'm doing with the Minneapolis Forward Community Now work, the work that I'm doing in the Black Business Support Group, the work that I'm doing with folks trying to transform what Northside looks like. I want youth there. And so that's what I feel like is missing in our work. And I know there's very intentional ways that we can pull them in. We're doing it with the Northside Awesome Fund, where we're bringing in youth trustees to learn about the process of collecting money for each other and figuring out how to invest it intentionally into people in our community. And so that could be a model. So I think part of that, acknowledging what Gloria said about the work that has been done and is being done, we can use that as models across communities as we start working collaboratively. So share the information, but also bring the youth with us in the whole journey. We don't need to be perfect with it.
That's awesome. Alfredo, anything you want to add?
I would just add that of course, in our journey, we leverage what we do well. I said recently, there's no time for doubt. We don't have time for doubt. We have to be fearless about action. And what is working, as Gloria says, if we know something's working, do it faster, do it better. And don't be afraid to innovate. We are in uncharted territories in many aspects of our lives. So addressing those challenges will take innovation, and doing that fearlessly, but with conviction and with accountability. I love inspect what you expect. And that I always say that to our philanthropy and our donors and our funders. It's like, we are going to hold ourselves to a really high standard of accountability, because our accountability is impact. Mm-hmm. What we're doing is our mission. And so collaborating, bringing new generations in. I love the fact that my two young daughters were part of a lot of the activity and the protests here in town, and they were making their voices heard. They were engaging their world, and I was so proud of that they finally said, wait a minute, this is my world. I need to have a voice in how I make it better. So the generational inclusion is great. The inspect what you expect is absolutely critical. The appreciation and the gratitude feeds our soul. And the mission should fuel our accountability. So I think that these are great themes that all of you bring to this conversation. So kudos to all of you.
Awesome. All right. So to close us out, this is a lightning question.
Uh-oh.
You get one word. That's it. What are you ready for? One word.
Wow.
Go. Felicia.
Transformation.
Transformation.
Innovation.
Innovation.
Ashe.
Gloria.
Intentional listening.
Oh, that's 2 words. She's a business owner. She's a negotiator. All right. Well, thank you all for spending your afternoon with us. I think we heard some very clear direction that we need to get ready for. At the top, we heard about making sure that we heal, making sure that we support each other, making sure that we are creative in our thinking, and making sure that we thank ourselves for the journey that we've been on and the work that we're doing, and know that we're doing this work for the next generation. Because if we don't prepare a strong foundation for them to do the work, it's for naught. And so we're excited for the work that Meda is doing to make sure that we're all ready for the next chapter of this work. So thank you so much for the actionable and candid conversation. And please, please continue to do the work that you guys are doing. Gloria, Felicia, Alfredo, thank you.
Thank you, Shantara. You're inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Shantara.
Thank you. Wow. That was a great conversation. And how has time flown by so quickly? We're nearing the end of this program in our time together. And I hope that you found value in our just thanking the supporters of Meda and just hearing from just exceptional leaders who are ready to roll up their sleeves and get work done. So I want to bring back our amazing board chair, Barbara Butts-Williams, to close us out and look toward the future. Now let's hear from Barbara.
On behalf of Meda, staff, and board of directors, thank you once again for joining our 2020 annual meeting. In this time of uncertainty, one thing is clear. 2020 will be a year of transformation and change. As a country, we've never been tested to the extent we're being tested at this moment. I say that because we're being tested publicly. We've been tested at junctures in our history, and we came through with solutions. We've reminded ourselves of our national ideas. Now, with social media, the 24-hour news cycle, people all over the world have access to every moment, every second, every mistake, and every victory. So we're being tested, and the stakes have never been higher. It's Meda's time. It has long been Meda's time. Since 1971, Meda has situated itself within communities of color to help close the wealth gap. Through the attainment of wealth, we hope to close other gaps as well. Gaps in housing, access, gaps in healthcare access, transportation access, and education outcomes. By supporting entrepreneurs of color, our mission promotes racial justice. We know the days to come will be difficult. Our clients have never confronted this kind of uncertainty. In truth, none of us have. As an organization, Meda is working better, understanding how we can best support the clients and communities we serve. We've gained a lot of wisdom and experience in years past. We are learning a lot today, and we'll apply what we've learned in the years to come. Our calling as an organization is to continue to listen to the communities we serve. We need to be proactive. We need to stay ahead of changes to the extent we can. Our clients will help us do that. They know what their communities need because they are listeners too. Our task is to work with them to support the work of building and rebuilding. The word community speaks to me. It calls to mind place, and it calls to mind people who share more than place in common. We share dreams and goals. We see the same issues and opportunities. We want for each other life and liberty, health and happiness. It's time to achieve for everyone the world we want for ourselves. Meda's staff, our board, our partners, our clients, and their ideas, all of us will work together to do this essential work. We'll get there together, drawing on the lessons of the past to do the work today on our way to a better future. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you again, Barbara. Before we come to a final close, I'd like to thank and congratulate our award honorees, Gloria, Joel, Nancy, and Choice Bank, our panelists, Felicia, Alfredo, and Gloria. What an action-packed day. I also like to thank Pollen Studio in collaboration with Blackbird Revolt for the illustrations for our virtual event design and production. Top of the line. Thank you to Joel Wentz, Pix Pro Media for our video production. Finally, thank you to Padilla, who designed and sponsored Meda's 2019 annual report. Thank you all for your contributions. As we close out, I am reflecting on the words of Michelle Norris in a recent conversation with former First Lady Michelle Obama. And I quote, "The great pause needs to become the great calibration. My greatest hope is that we don't reach for normal, that we reach for better. The systems that we're operating in were built. We can deconstruct them to build better communities and better businesses. Your support matters." So as a business person, I would be remiss in neglecting my duty to plug my company, Civic Eagle, that is focused on public policy participation, which is integral to business growth. We'll be participating on September 10th in Twin Cities Startup Week, focused on the importance of startups and small businesses and having a public policy engagement strategy. That work matters, making sure your voice is heard to make sure that our communities can continue to build. So thank you, Meda, again, for all that you do to ensure the sustainability of businesses owned by people of color. And thank you all out there for your support of Meda. Please donate, please volunteer, please stay connected. Thank you all for joining, and stay tuned for a follow-up email that will include a link to the recording of this event and lots of opportunities, as I mentioned, for you to stay engaged. So get ready, stay ready, and let's get to work. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.